Hi, welcome to Me First. I'm your host, Stephanie Veloso, and I'm so excited to talk about all things self-reflection and self-improvement. I'm an advocate for self-love, and I'm ready to share all of the advice and lessons I've learned. I am not a mental health professional, and everything you hear comes from experience or light research. If you're ready to become an even better version of yourself, keep listening. This is the hub for self-love. Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of my brand new podcast titled Me First. I am your host and the creator of this podcast, Stephanie Veloso, and I am so grateful that you are tuning in for this historical moment, the creation of this podcast. I'm feeling good today. The nice thing about podcasts is that you have the luxury of recording them from your own home. So I'm here relaxing. I'm in my bedroom. I've got all the curtains drawn, and there's a really nice sunset coming up, so I can't wait to just sit here and watch it. I've got a nice little candle lit over there on the side. The vibes are good. So yeah, I'm feeling good. But now that I've made myself comfy, I feel that I can really get started and kick things off today. So, I feel that it would, only be right if I introduced myself, gave a little bit of background, just so you know where I'm at in life, specifically. Once again, my name is Stephanie, and I am a 24-year-old college student attending the University of Nebraska at Omaha, located in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm currently a junior, and I am studying journalism and media communication, which I absolutely love. More specifically, I have a concentration in creative media and a minor in communications. So I definitely feel like I'm in the right spot. So that's a good feeling for sure. And I like to express myself through a variety of different creative outlets. So today, specifically, that outlet will be podcasting, and I'm so excited to get started. So my purpose for this podcast specifically, I chose to talk about self-love, and to be super candid, that's something that's been very prominent in my life. Honestly, whether it's been good or bad, at a high or low point, it's just been an overall very meaningful learning experience. So I wanted to give a quick disclaimer that I am obviously not a professional therapist or doctor or counselor. I'm simply going to be talking from experience and, maybe things that I've experienced with friends or things that they've gone through. That's pretty much what I can provide, where I'm at in life. So yes, disclaimers out of the way. A quick summary of what I want to touch on today. I'll be talking about practicing positive self-talk. I want to analyze what we think our flaws are compared to social media and celebrities and things that we see in media. I think that's huge. I feel very passionately about that. So I'm excited to touch on that. And then finally, simply putting yourself first, knowing when it's time to do that, knowing when that's appropriate. So yeah, this is all, stuff that I'm still learning, still very, very early on my self-love journey. So let's get right into it. First thing, practicing positive self-talk. For myself personally, it was crucial for me to start from the inside out, simply because I am my own biggest critic. And sometimes, that voice inside your head can get a bit too harsh, a bit too demanding. But to be fair, whether it's out loud or inside my head, I try to catch myself when I begin to think negative self-thoughts, or I talk to myself in a negative way, or even when I find myself giving up on myself too quickly. I've learned that I can do better, that I'm better than that. A big one that I'll touch on a bit later is comparing myself to others, which is huge. But, just learning to simply stop that early on before you get to, that negative mindset of, oh, I can't do this, or why would I think that I can do this, or, whatever it may be. It can be very toxic, very harmful sometimes. And sometimes I find myself I don't even notice that I'm doing it, I guess. And, when this happens in small amounts, it might not seem like a lot, but really and truly it's having an impact on you internally. And then eventually, that could turn external. So this is definitely something that can be easier said than done. It's a process, and you have to be patient with yourself. And it's absolutely something, like I said, that I'm still working on. So one thing that I've done to try to incorporate this into my day, one thing that I've always just seemed to do is wake up, I sit in my bed, first thing I do, I open my eyes, and I'm like, okay, what do I need to get done today? What is the plan? What is the goal? What all do I have to do today? So now, this little time, it's just me in my bed in the morning, all cozied up, I start to tell myself, okay, you've got a lot of things to do today. You can do this. It's going to be a good day. We're going to be productive. I try to just put that out there into the world. So yeah, that's something that I would encourage other people to do. It's not always easy, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I oversleep. Sometimes I'm rushing in the morning, or I'm simply just tired, just exhausted and drained. But if nothing else, I've learned, for me, I fake it until I make it, These are things you just have to, I think, practice, and repetition is how this will really become a part of my day. So, if you feel that this is something that could help you out, I would encourage you to do so. So, I also wanted to touch on analyzing and accepting flaws. And this might be the thing I feel the most passionate about, like I said, when it comes to social media comparison. But first, I think for self-improvement, a key is to improve your mental health state. Again, starting from the inside out. I've taken the moment, times during my day or, whenever, to really say, what do I not maybe love about myself, and why don't I love this thing about myself? And then it's taking the time to separate these things and say, is this something I really should be embracing, or is this something that I can and want to change for my benefit simply? And I think a lot of this, this mindset that I adopted from a very young age was due to things that I was exposed to through social media. Like many of us, I've had social media platforms from a very young age. Like many of us, I've had social media platforms from a very young age. And at the time, you're young, you just find celebrities or people you admire and you start following them. And this becomes, your feed. It becomes everything you're exposed to every single day. And as I got older, I realized, we're encouraged, we always hear these things of everybody is beautiful and, everyone's unique and you have to love yourself. But I realized that the scope of bodies that I was seeing, that I was constantly being exposed to, in not only in the media and movies and TV shows, but my feed on my social feeds, they all looked the same. I had this very rigid view of what beauty was and what that meant. So within the last few years, actually, something that I've learned that really helped me was to follow people on their socials, people that look like me. Not only people that look like me, but, just to diversify my timeline. Not only, shape and body size, but from different cultures, different backgrounds. I really wanted to, just diversify the spectrum of people that I saw to just get a more realistic view of what we look like, And yes, everybody is beautiful. I still follow these people that I followed when I first got social media, but I have expanded on that, I guess is a good way to put it. As a photographer, I know what the incredible things we can do with editing and in Photoshop and things like that. So from that perspective, I've learned to really remind myself, this is what people really look like. They have these flaws. They come in different shapes, sizes, colors, whatever it may be. So when I realized this and when I started following people that looked like me, I felt a change, if that makes sense. I felt like I could relate to these people. I learned about, their cultures, things that they do in their everyday life that aren't different from mine, that are different from mine. So it expanded my mind in more ways than one, I guess. So that would be a piece of advice that I would give to anyone out there who's maybe struggling and with body image or just with relating to others, whatever it may be. Try to have your timeline reflect what we look like, what this world looks like. We are a diverse population, so having that reflect on my social media really did make an impact. So, yes. And finally, this last one is very crucial, but simply learning when to put yourself first. Now, this is something I really, really need to work on. But to be fair, I've really improved over the last few years, I think. I think it's interesting the way I was personally brought up. I was, taught to be selfless, to help others, I think many of us learned that putting yourself first was either, like cocky or self-absorbed or rude. And all these things are true to a certain extent. But then I think this made it more difficult for me to find that line where, okay, when do I put myself first now? I love helping people. I love, checking in with people and things like that. But it also got to a point where I lost track of where I was and if I was doing okay. So I've definitely come a long way, like I've said, but I try to encourage myself my friends to do the same thing, to find, okay, once I can only help so many people, I can't necessarily change or fix people. The only thing I can do in that moment, is work on myself. So if that's something that you tend to do, take this as a piece of advice. If it's something you want to apply to your life, really try to, either whatever it may be, set boundaries or whatever it may be that will help you put yourself first, because it is necessary and it is important for your overall journey in self-love. So in summary, real quick, a quick recap. We've talked about a lot of very important things today. So try your very best to practice positive self-talk. Throw that in first thing in the morning, middle of the day, late at night, whenever you see necessary. Take the time I would encourage to go through your social media, maybe see what your feed looks like now and see if there's any changes you'd like to make, if there's any expanding you can do to diversify your timeline. And finally, putting yourself first, even though it's not always easy. Finding that fine line where you say, okay, now it's my turn to work on myself. So yes, that is everything we talked about today. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me today. Once again, this is not professional advice. Simply this comes from experience and things that I've, heard from friends and things like that. But if nothing else, I hope it's, relatable in that sense. And although I am a young woman, these concepts and ideas apply to everyone. Everyone's going through something. Everyone's going through their own journey. So again, take from this what you will and see what fits and what works for you. So I hope you have a beautiful rest of your morning, afternoon, night, whenever it is that you're listening to this. And don't forget to come back to the Hub for Self-Love. Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much for listening today. Whether you were looking to learn something new or simply relax, I hope my words have resonated with you in one way or another. If you or anyone you know needs help, please contact 1-800-662-HELP. And if you haven't already heard it today, you are worthy, you are important, and I am so glad that you exist. Be sure to come back soon.